Hello, everyone. Welcome back for another Cube Draft here. I'm Andrew Cooper Faust. I'll be walking you through this one. This first pack looks like a pretty easy choice. There's some sweet cards here like Garruk Relentless, some Mana Fixing and Breeding Pool. But we're just going to slam Sulfuric Vortex and try to go mono red. I've got a guy on my right who's passing to me who I know likes to play mono red, so hopefully he'll stay out of it. Alright, Skull Clamp is obviously one of the best equipment ever printed. It was banned in its time. It's not actually that insane in mono red. I know it sounds funny to say that, but it doesn't end up making a lot of sense for you to like play a 2/1 and then equip it with Skull Clamp to draw 2 cards. But that being said, it's still probably much better than Searing Blaze, even though Searing Blaze is one of the best burn spells. So I'm going to pick Skull Clamp and try and build around it. This is a nice start to the draft. Alright, well, this is what I was afraid of. I'm afraid that Jeff might be hacking all the red cards. But Goblin Ruin Blaster is pretty good. It's possible that Rishadan Port's just better. Ruin Blaster dies to Skull Clamp. I'm not seeing anything that would push me in any other direction. All these large green cards don't interest me very much. I think Rishadan Port is probably the better card. I could be wrong about that, but I know that Luis likes Goblin Ruin Blaster, but yeah, I'm a big fan of Rishadan Port. Now this pack has quite a few options in it. There's still green cards coming, but none of them are stellar. There's quite a few good black cards here. Hypnotic Spectre, Damnation, and Liliana Spectre are all reasonable. Lightning is good in a red-black deck, although I'm not sure that we're ready to go that way yet. I think the choice is between Magus of the Scroll and Zozu. I think Zozu's pretty good, but for at least when you start drafting mono red, I think the most important cards to pick up are 1-drops. So I'm going to start by picking 1-drops, and Zozu wheels sometimes, so it's certainly possible this pack is pretty stacked, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him wheel. Alright, we're just going to keep on the plan. I like Grafted War Gear a lot, but 1-drops are 1-drops, and it even dies to Skull Clamp, so we'll keep building on theme. Alright, this pack is not looking as good as the previous ones have. I'm not sure that this is necessarily a signal, though, that red isn't open. Sometimes the cards just don't get opened, and I think getting Skull Clamp into Jackal Pup, I have no reason to believe that it's being cut very hard, at least. I think the best card here is going to be Mishra's Factory. Dismember is a reasonable choice, but you usually end up with quite a bit of removal, and the slight upgrade to -5/-5 doesn't end up mattering that much. It's worth noting that there's a lot of cards in here that are good enough, that are good against us, like Journey to Nowhere, Wall of Omens. Even the Abyss isn't that bad. But I'm just going to take the Mishra's Factory and hope we get some more red cards. And we don't. Alright. It may not be too hard to salvage. I think black is generally pretty underdrafted. Bloodghast is a reasonably good card. So that might be an interesting place to jump. And red-black, there's almost always only one red-black drafter at the table, so the Blightning ought to wheel if that's the case. And obviously Bloodghast is very good with Skull Clamp, so if we need to switch into black entirely, then I won't mind that either, since we've got Skull Clamp, Mishra's Factory, Bloodghast. Alright, now I need to decide if I'm going to go all in on red-black aggro or if I'm going to try and stick with mono-red. there's quite a lot to be said for taking a 1-drop over Incinerate, because Incinerate's just another burn spell, and 1-drops are hard to come by, although the black 1-drops are the easiest to come by of those. And Stagger Shock's also not a bad choice. I tend to like the cheaper ones where possible, especially when you have a card like Skull Clamp, because you just want to draw a bunch of spells and cast them all. Since we've got Skull Clamp, I think playing a little heavier on burn spells is a reasonable way to go. I'm not really sure what to do here. I think I'm going to try and stay mono red for as much as I can, and I'm not too upset about missing a Carnophage. Alright, well, this is one of the reasons to take lots of 1-drops, is cards like Stormblood Berserker would get much better. Not having Ball Lightning with Skull Clamp, it's something that I'll have to live with. And Flame Javelin's fine, but it's not as good as a solid 2-drop. Alright, so Hero of Oxid Ridge didn't wheel, but Searing Blaze did. So I have to assume that at least there's not someone else drafting mono red, or if there is, then I don't know what they're doing. So I'm going to take the Searing Blaze. And this is actually looking pretty good. All these cards suck. The best card against us is definitely Electrolyze. Village is fine. Although I'm never as happy to play it as other people are. I don't like just straight land destruction most of the time, unless it's, a free one like Rishadan Port, Strip Mine, cards like that. Chaos Warp isn't a great card, but it's one that I'm willing to take. Obviously, we're not going to play Rampant Growth, and I don't think it's likely that we'll end up in red-white, so I'll just take the Chaos Warp. We get to hate a Wall of Omens. Not bad. Good omen to start the draft. And a last pick Kodama's Reach. That probably shouldn't happen.